Welcome to episode 13, season 2 premiere of Ultimate Opinion with your boy Daniel, aka D Money. On this podcast, I intend to be subjective and transparent when giving my opinion on these topics. So, welcome to 2026. I hope everyone out there had a fun, safe New Year's. We're on the new big things with this podcast this season. I intend not to hold back. I'm going to be opinionated about every damn thing. To the little things, to the big things, that's what we're going to do in 2026. Also, if anyone has any New Year resolutions, I guess try to stick with them. I never come up with one because I see them pointless. I think they're stupid. And by like the second damn week, people don't really hang on to a New Year's resolution. But if you are one of those peoples that happens to make New Year's resolutions, just stick to them. In the season 2 premiere, today I will be covering Hollywood murders. You're probably asking, Daniel, what does that mean? Well, today I will be talking about the most famous or infamous murders in Hollywood history. What I would do is I would cover 5 most notable Hollywood murders. This was actually kind of a hard one because at the end I'm going to show you guys this magazine where I mainly done my research. There have been plenty of Hollywood murders, but since we're pressed for time and this is only an hour show, what I did was randomly just chose 5, like I said, of the most notorious, infamous / famous Hollywood murders of all time. I will also, with each murder, I will also highlight the pop culture because most of these murders deal with celebrities. And what I would do is give the pop culture impact for each murder. And I will also, for 2025, give the city of Los Angeles, I would give the crime rate stats, meaning I'm going to break down in each category basically in 2025. When it comes to murder rates, robbery rates, like I said, the crime rates of 2025 for LA, for the city of Los Angeles. So let's get to it. So when you think about the city of Los Angeles, what comes to mind? Hollywood glamour, sunshine, palm trees, iconic landmarks, including the Hollywood sign, the Walk of Fame, and of course you have the beaches of Malibu. My LA Lakers, rest in peace Kobe Bryant, to the late great Kobe Bryant, has the big brother of all sports in LA. But beyond the glamour of the movie and the TV industry, the city of Los Angeles is also infamous for some of the most notorious crimes in history, including the 1992 LA riots, the Menendez brothers case, the O.J. Simpson case. Today, I will be discussing 5 of the most notorious Hollywood crimes in Los Angeles, California. The first one that I will be starting with is the Black Dahlia. This case remains one of the most horrific and memorable crimes in Los Angeles history. Elizabeth Short was an aspiring actress and also a drifter that filled the city after World War II. Unfortunately, how she died is how the Black Dahlia is remembered. In January of 1947, Short's body was found naked and cut in half in a weedy winter bean field. She was known to wear black dresses, which earned her the nickname, an homage to the 1946 murder mystery film The Blue Dahlia. Decades after the crime, conspiracy theories flourished with a few suspects, including Robert Red Manley and Dr. S. Voorhees, who both confessed to the crime. Nearly 80 years later, the murder of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, remains one of Hollywood's original unsolved mystery. Pop culture impact. Literature. James Ellroy's novel, The Black Dahlia, 1987, a fictional book with real suspects launching the genre. Film-wise, Brian De Palma's 2006 adaptation of Ellroy's book alongside numerous documentaries and B-movies. Television. American Horror Story. Murder House, Penny Dreadful. City of Angels, and plenty more crime. So that's the Black Dahlia case. Of course, this is one of the most unsolved mysteries in Hollywood history. The movie is actually a good movie. It stars Josh Hartnett and Aaron Eckhart and Scarlett Johansson in the 2006 film, The Black Dahlia. It's more like a crime. It's almost like a crime movie, but it's fiction and nonfiction because, of course, characters' names have been changed and all that. But if you're really into the whole crime thing, of course, there are plenty podcast episodes regarding the Black Dahlia, Elizabeth Short. And like I said, there's books and movies. But with this case being almost 80 years old, unfortunately, all the suspects have passed away. And this story is because it was the way that she was found. Like I said, if you happen to Google some of those images, it is horrific. And it's so crazy because that was in 1947, after, post World War II. And like, that didn't happen during that time. But like I said, if you read the book and look at the movies, it is a real interesting case, which is still unsolved, unfortunately. And like I was saying, it's a real intriguing case. It's a real good, like I said, murder mystery if you want to look into it. The second murder I would be highlighting is what I know a lot of people are familiar with. Charles Manson. In the summer of 1969, this twisted, charismatic cult leader inspired his young followers to commit a nightmarish massacre. Charles Manson was born in 1934 to a poor single mother in Ohio who was in and out of prison. He was 12 years old and gone to spend most of his time in and out of institutions. Prison was where Manson learned how to play the guitar. Obsessed with the Beatles, trust me, it's not a coincidence. I just decided to wear this Beatles shirt because I love the Beatles. Obsessed with the Beatles fame prompted Manson to songwrite. In 1967, when he was released, Manson went out to Universal Studios to try and get a recording contract. The meeting did not go well. Manson still tried to get into the music business, even trying to use his close relationship, Dennis Wilson, part of the Beach Boys, to no avail. Terry Melcher actually told Manson, "I don't know what to do with you." Manson did not take that well and insisted on getting revenge. Unfortunately, Manson instructed his family, aka followers, to go to Terry Melcher's old house on CeeLo Drive in Benedict Canyon and kill everyone inside. At that time, Melcher had moved out and the house was being rented by actress Sharon Tate and her husband, Roman Polanski. On August 9th, 1969, Manson ordered Charles Tex Watson, Linda Kasabian, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Susan Atkins to commit this massacre. The victims included Stephen Parent, coffee heiress Abigail Folger, her boyfriend Wojtek Frykowski, hairdresser to the stars Jay Sebring, and Sharon Tate at the time, who was 9 months pregnant. The victims were stabbed and shot several times. The next night, the family stabbed and mutilated the bodies of Leno and Rosemary LaBianca. The case became known as the Tate LaBianca murders and also drew international attention and came to symbolize the city of LA as a place that can be dangerous. All four defendants, including Charles Manson, were found guilty and sentenced to death. In 1972, the California Supreme Court abolished the death penalty. Their sentences were commuted to life in prison. Manson died behind bars in 2017. At the time, the Helter Skelter trial was the first huge celebrity trial in Los Angeles. Pop culture impact. Music-wise, performers such as Kasabian, Spawn Ranch, and Marilyn Manson got their names from Manson and his lore. Television. Helter Skelter 1976 was a TV drama series. Film/movie-wise, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 2019, a film directed by Quentin Tarantino. The film has a plot revolving around Manson and the Manson family. So, in case you've been living under a rock, everyone's familiar with, the Charles Manson murders and massacre. It kind of defined how the 60s ended. During the 1960s, you had a powerful shift when it came to civil rights, NASA, Woodstock, a lot of baby boomers who was in their late teens and early 20s were changing political views. And I guess it's only fitting that in 1969, how it began is how it ended. Charles Manson, of course, was a hippie, a wannabe musician. And if you look at pictures of Charles Manson, it's actually kind of funny. Like, he wasn't a big man. He was only like 5'5", 5'6". So the fact that he could have so much power over people who was more than likely half his size and half his weight is crazy. It just shows that when you, and I'm not going to even say when you have the gift of gab, when you just know how to manipulate people, how to get in people's heads, it doesn't matter how big or small you are, like, you have so much power. And the fact that Charles Manson was able to persuade his followers to kill innocent people, or I guess privileged people that he felt like when it comes to Charles Manson, he's like I said, he's always been a quirky, weird individual. But I guess he thought he wanted to start a race war. He thought that, and he said it, and it's been reported in plenty of books and movies, that he assumed that the Black Panthers would be accused of killing Sharon Tate, her friends, and the LaBiancas. And his plan was to start a race war where at the end of the day, white people will come out on top And I don't know where that logic came from, but like I was saying, when you're twisted and crazy and don't really know if you're coming and going, like I said, you can lead and persuade anybody to do anything. And the only one so far that's been released is Leslie Van Houten. She was released a few years ago. The rest of his followers are still behind bars. Each time they go for parole, they're denied, which is a good thing because I feel like when you do the crime, you gotta do that damn time, you know. Because if you go back and, like I said, you know, I love crime novels and crime movies and all that. If you go back and even read the autopsy or see some of these documentaries and videos, they tortured their victims. Like it wasn't no bang, bang, bang. Like if you go back and read some of these reports, they torture their victims. And I feel like when you do a crime like that, yes, you need to either die behind bars or get the death penalty. And that's one thing I really don't like about the state of California, because they did the same thing with Scott Peterson. You will convict somebody and give them the death sentence, but then it'll get reversed. Well, in that case, then don't even sentence them to death. Just sentence them to life without parole. But like I said, that's California for you. You know, the way they do laws is totally different. The next murder I will be talking about is Dorothy Stratton. Hollywood is full of a Stars Born stories. One that is very tragic and began almost like a fairy tale is for 18-year-old Dorothy Hook Stratton. That's was her maiden name, well, her birth name. She was discovered at a Dairy Queen in Vancouver, British Columbia in 1978. Paul Snyder, a local auto shop promoter and part-time pimp, turned this shy, awkward, beautiful girl into a moneymaker. Within months, Snyder had arranged a nude photo session and sent the results to Playboy. In 1979, her career gained traction with appearances on TV shows like Fantasy Island. She was groomed by Playboy owner Hugh Hefner, who in 1981, with the help of film director Peter, I'm gonna probably jack his name up, Bogdanovich, wrote a part for her in the film They All Laughed. Stratton was enjoying success and control. She married Paul Snyder against the wishes of Hugh Hefner and most people in Hollywood. In 1980, Stratton and, again, I'm gonna probably check his name up, Bogdanovich had started a secret affair and she actually moved into the director's Bel Air home. She basically told Snyder, her husband, she wanted a separation. On August 14th, 1980, Stratton drove to his home in West Los Angeles trying to reach a settlement. According to press reports, shortly after midnight, Stratton had been raped and killed by a shotgun to her face. Snyder then turned the gun on himself. Pop culture impact. Playboy stardom. She was a glamorous figure, becoming Playboy Playmate of the Year in 1980, poised for Hollywood success. Film. Star 80, 1983. Bob Fosse's film adaptation of her life and murder, based on Teresa Carpenter's article, Death of a Playmate. Death of a Centerfold in 1981, a made-for-TV movie starring Jamie Lee Curtis that dramatized her story. To be honest with you guys, until I did my research, I never really knew about Dorothy Stratton and her background. But of course, doing my research, I realized that she was actually So her husband, Paul Snyder, which was her manager, he was very controlling. He was her manager. Uh, he definitely was abusive, and I want to say like because of course there's a bunch of but movies and documentaries about her, but she was definitely, it seems like, a woman that was trying to get away from her husband, and unfortunately, the outcome was not good. He had killed her and then killed himself, and that just shows that even with the fact that she was blowing up, that I'm sure because I've actually watched the murder of I'm gonna go back and see the name of it, but yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis actually played it in a made for TV movie, and yeah, he actually stalked her. He did some weird stuff, and it just goes back to domestic violence is wrong. Should no one condone it? And anyone that's going through that, get help and get out as soon as possible, because most of the time in domestic violence situations, somebody end up dead. That's just how it really plays out. And unfortunately, she passed away before her career could blow up. She was making movies. I'm sure, she was gonna probably eventually probably have her own TV show, but the fact that she was with the wrong person that snapped and he killed her. So I see why they say, her story is one of the saddest of Hollywood, because what could have been at Dorothy Stratton, because eventually she probably would have got tired of doing Playboy. I mean, she would have got older and she would have felt like I'm more talented than just my physical appearance. Could she got into singing? Possibly. Like I said, I seen where she was already acting, so who knows? But yeah, it's just sad that it's always that what if, what could she have become? And this other murder is really tragic. It's probably one of the saddest Hollywood murders of all time. Marvin Gaye. I'm sorry. I wish he could walk through this door right now. I loved him. Those were the haunting words of Marvin Gaye Sr., who expressed remorse to a LA Superior Court judge for killing his son, soul singer Marvin Gaye. Originally charged with murder, the 71-year-old retired minister pled guilty to a reduced charge of manslaughter in connection with his son's shooting death on April 1st of 1984, one day before Gaye's 45th birthday. The Grammy-winning soul artist, whose hits included "How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You," "Let's Get It On," "What's Going On," and "Sexual Healing," had valiantly attacked his father moments before his death. Gaye, who had a troubled history with his father, added an E to his last name to create his own identity. The senior Gaye was arrested on April 1st, 1984, as he sat in front of the home at 2101 South Grammy Place in Los Angeles that his wife shared with their son. Gaye said sometime around noon, he went to his son's bedroom looking for his wife. He saw Marvin Jr. and his wife talking, and the elder Gaye excused himself, but not before his son shouted out insults at him. Minutes later, the elder Gaye said his son Marvin Jr. walked into his bedroom and attacked him. Fearing for his life, Senior Gaye grabbed a pistol from under his pillow and fired two shots, killing his son. Gaye, who spent 80 days in a Los Angeles County jail before he was released on bail, could have faced up to 13 years in state prison. Judge Ringers stated, "I just can't see what sending him to prison is going to do for anybody." Marvin Gaye Sr. died in 1998, just after turning 84 years old. Pop culture impact. The architect of modern soul evolved from Motown's Smooth Love song era duets with Tammy Terrell to a groundbreaking solo artist shaping soul and R&B. I love Marvin Gaye. Such wonderful music. Social and political activism. Albums like What's Going On tackle war, poverty, and racism, making him a voice for protest and inspiring artists to address real-life issues. Iconic hits and albums. I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Motown's top-selling single at the time. Ain't No Man Hot Enough with Tammy Terrell. What's Going On, a landmark concept album on social issues. So like I stated, Marvin Gaye's murder was probably the most tragic of, like I said, the murders that I'm pointing out when it comes to Hollywood, because he was killed by his father. Now, of course, wasn't nobody there but his parents. So, and I've always said there's always two sides to every story. Could Marvin Gaye have been high or drunk? Who knows? Don't nobody really know what went on, but as I reported, and did my research, anyone who probably knew Marvin Gaye knew that him and his dad didn't have a close relationship to begin with. And that's why when he was signed with Motown, so his last name is Gay, Gay. But I guess to distinguish himself and to separate himself from his birth name, from his dad, he did Gay, Gaye. And like I said, I got mad respect for all Motown artists. I love Motown. I love sitting back, listening to all the old school Motown artists. And Marvin Gaye has said that him and his dad were not close. So when you're not really close to, I'm not gonna even say a family member, just when your patience were thin with someone that you already don't have a relationship with, it doesn't take much for you guys, for any little thing to snap. Any little thing he say or do, of course, it was going to cause a reaction. Unfortunately, he killed his only son, and that's just and that's just sad. Being a parent, don't no parent. I can't imagine a parent just having that choice of, okay, it's either me or my child. So like the fact that Marvin Gaye Sr., because like I said, nobody was there, nobody seen what happened, or the fact that he realized that, my son's out of control, he's gonna kill me if I don't kill him, it's just sad. Because like I said, Marvin Gaye was so talented. Like, just go back and listen to his songs. Him and Tammy Terrell was like the first it couple. And the fact of the matter is that they wasn't even a couple, but the duets they have together are marvelous. Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing. Like, those two were, to me, I'm going to say they're going to probably go down as the best Motown duets of all time. And not even Motown, just the fact that those two made beautiful music together. And it's just tragic the way she passed away and the way he passed away, but I do believe that, that they're up there in heaven, they're just having a good time, just singing marvelous songs. So I'm down to the last murder in Hollywood. Robert Durst. After nearly 40 years outmaneuvering the law, the peculiar real estate mogul was finally convicted of killing his best friend. Durst's weird odyssey began from the day his wife disappeared in New York State in 1982 to the trial for murdering his best friend, Susan Berman, in Los Angeles. On Christmas Eve of 2000, Berman was found lying face down in her bare bones cottage, shot execution style. There was no sign of a break in or robbery. Durst is known to have been in North California days before Berman's death. On March 14th, 2015, a few days after a first degree murder warrant was signed by a Los Angeles judge alleging a role by Durst in relation to the Berman killing, LA County Deputy DA John Lewin, in charge of prosecuting Durst, flew to New Orleans to arrest him. With Durst's consent, Lewis interviewed him for 3 hours without a lawyer present. I think it was just his arrogance. Lewin claimed to have found information uncovered by filmmakers of the Jinx and flew to New York to interview witnesses of Durst and Berman's. Durst was sentenced to life in prison in October 2021. He died 3 months later at the age of 78. Pop culture impact. The Jinx HBO series, a documentary series with Durst's participation, captivated audiences with excess and shocking revelation and its iconic finale where Durst appears to admit to the murders. A&E and Lifetime announced in August 2016 that they were developing a movie based on a book, A Deadly Secret. The TV movie titled The Lost Wife of Robert Durst aired on November 2017. The film All Good Things 2010 stars Ryan Gosling as David Marks, a character inspired by Durst. So yeah, once again with this murder or this case, I did my research on it, but I actually knew more about the murder because of the movie, All Good Things starring Ryan Gosling, as once again a fictional account of him playing Robert Durst. Once again, it's basically, the stereotypical rich guy who can get away with anything, who got these powerful connections and who can manipulate people to do this and that. That's all it's about. And again, if you were to look at the real case, you could do research and, the real Robert Durst, he did a whole lot of shady stuff, murder, embezzlement, all that stuff. And I would recommend, if you are a movie lover, to check out All Good Things. Like I said, it's probably to me one of Ryan Gosling's powerful performances. The way that he could play a psychopath, and it's really convincing. We're used to seeing Ryan Gosling as the good guy or the lover, but I'm telling you guys, check out All Good Things. Like Ryan Gosling, like this performance. And I'm going to check. I don't know if he was nominated for an Academy Award, but he should have been, because like the fact that, like I said, how tormented and evil that he could play is amazing. And it just shows the talented actor that he is. And like I said, check it out, All Good Things. Um, so most of my research was done with this magazine, Hollywood True Crime, Living and Dying in LA. This is where most of my research was done. Of course, I went to other websites and other resources, but like I said, there are multiple Hollywood murders that are covered in this magazine. You could probably find this off of Amazon, but if you are a true crime lover and you want to know more about Hollywood murders and crimes, this would be the magazine to check out. Like I said, it's interesting because, like I said, some of these crimes I didn't know about. I was able to do my research. It was just like, oh, well, that happened in L.A. Okay, well, that's interesting. So, like I said, if you guys want to check out more crime murders, definitely check this out. Here you guys go. And like I said, it got, I'm not gonna say hundreds, but it got plenty of, like I said, LA murder cases that you're just like, oh wow, this happened in LA. Yes, it did. So now what I'm going to do is highlight, uh, like I said at the beginning, I got crime stats when it comes to the city of LA in 2025. I was gonna go back but I'm just like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna go back 30, 40 years and talk about Los Angeles's crime rate because that's, I mean, you could do that with any city, and of course it's gonna be ridiculous. So I decided just to do the crime rate of last year, 2025. So according to data from the LAPD Instagram and Council on Criminal Justice, the LAPD reported a 4.3% drop in combined crimes in 4 weeks ending August 2nd of 2025, with major reductions in person crimes negative 7.5% and property crimes negative 3.3%. Homicide year to date were down 27.1% compared to 2024, with a 20% decrease in the 4 weeks ending in August. Aggravated assaults fell by 12% in the recent four weeks, but robberies were up 3.3% with a slight increase in the prior 4 weeks. According to the LAPD IG post, burglaries dropped 3.3% and motor vehicle thefts decreased 3.5%. While overall trends are positive, local sources noted a 23% increase in shooting victims in May 2025, and rising robberies have spiked. So overall, the city of Los Angeles, the crime rate, I guess, is still where it's been for the past couple years. Um, and of course, if you guys are paying attention to the 2028 presidential election, Gavin Newsom, who is the governor of California, is going to probably run. But I don't really think he has a chance. When it comes to the homelessness rate in California, the crime rate, I don't think Gavin Newsom is going to even get out the primaries. California is so, and you've got like, it's been reported that people are now leaving California to go to other places like New York or Florida. And I don't think Gavin Newsom have enough time to try to make a case of why he should be president. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I was a Gavin Newsom guy until he okayed Leslie Van Houten, one of Manson followers, to be released from prison a few years ago. I'm just like, so it just shows that his lack of moral judgment is clouded. You know, yeah, Leslie Van Houten was a Manson follower. And like I said, I believe all of them should have been executed, but that wasn't the case. So they were all sentenced to life. And I just feel like, yeah, you just stand by that. Like, I don't think no one who does a horrific crime should be released. You see, when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California and Stanley Tucci, you know, the Crips gang member, he was going to be executed, and Governor Schwarzenegger did not extend it. Like he went ahead and let it be done. And I feel like Gavin Newsom is really soft on crime. You know, not only is he soft on crime, he's to me, he's all about showman. Like, I mean, he is the governor of California, LA. That's one of the biggest cities in California. So it makes sense that he's got that. It's all about me. Like, I just want the spotlight. But I don't think he would be a good president. Like I said, he's soft on crime. When it comes to the homelessness rates, I don't think he really cares. And Los Angeles isn't the only city in the United States that is spiked with homelessness and crime. But the reason why LA get the lights get brought on them is because it's Los Angeles. You know, it's a city where everyone wants to go to see. You know, with the landmarks, like I said, just the history of LA itself. But unfortunately, Los Angeles is a dangerous city. But like I said, I'm not just pointing out that city. Every city in the U.S. has a crime rate that done spiked. But with LA being so much bigger, like I said, that's going to be magnified more. You know, and of course, the cost of living is ridiculous. You know, I'm sure for a studio apartment, you're probably already paying $1,300, $1,400, and 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 maybe eventually, uh, I don't know who's like. I'm about to go back to see who's actually running for governor because I want to say his term. I'm about to go see guys when Gavin Newsom's term is actually up. But maybe the next governor can come in and try to clean it up because, like I said, Gavin Newsom, he's like I said, it's all about him. Like I said, he's all about the spotlight. You know, I don't think he would take being a president seriously. Uh, you know, granted, like I said, he got charisma. He's a good because he actually got a podcast himself. Like I said, he's a good communicator. But I don't think, like I said, if you can't lead the state and the people of California, you definitely can't do the United States. And that's where I feel about Gavin Newsom. You know, I don't think vice president, that's still in. I don't know about that either. I don't know. I just think that Gavin Newsom needs to stay away from DC because, like I was saying, if you look at the stats when it comes to, like I said, the crime rate and the homelessness in California, yeah, dude, you should not be president. You shouldn't even want to run for president. And I say that in respect. All this is out of respect. I don't know Gavin Newsom. I'm personally not attacking him, but I'm just looking at his state right now. And dude, like your state is a mess. And yeah, dude, you just just stay away from DC. Uh, and like I said, I decided to do Hollywood crimes today because, like I said, most people do want to go visit Los Angeles. Well, at least that's what, like I said, that's what I always want to do. Because, like I said, I love my LA Lakers. Uh, like I said, LA looks so beautiful. And I just wanted to give like a little brief history of the crimes that have been history wise. And like I said, every city and every state got their issues and their crimes and all that. But like I said, with season 2, I just wanted to open up about, like I said, LA and some of the most infamous crimes that most people do or don't know about. Because, like I said, when I was doing my research, some of these celebrities and some of these crimes I was unfamiliar with, and I was just like, "Oh, this happened," because most people in LA, you know about the O.J. Simpson case, which I started off, the Menendez case, you know about that, but like all the in between, I thought it was interesting because you like I said, when you do your research, you just like, oh well, this happened in L.A., that happened in L.A. So that's why I wanted, like I said, randomly, I just wanted to point out some infamous, like I said, infamous and famous murders that happened in the city of Los Angeles. Um, and like I said, 2026 is gonna be a good year, guys. Like I said, with this podcast, like I said, I plan to go harder. Like I said, I'm not holding back anything. Like I said, I'm going to have an opinion about every damn thing when it comes to politics, sports, entertainment, all of that, food, movies, music, you name it. I'm going to have a opinion about every damn thing, and that's what I want you guys to do. You know, if there is a specific LA crime, murder, or anything that I missed, of course, guys, go ahead and comment and let me know about what you guys want to hear. Uh, and once again, like I said, welcome to 2026. Like I said, we're going to do big things. And like I said, we're all in this together. Uh, and like I said, I love if you guys would give me any feedback, or if there's a specific topic that you guys want me to cover, I'll be more than happy to do that for you guys. Because like I said, I started this for us so I can have a voice and so you can have a voice, so we can have that dialogue, that back and forth, so everybody's opinion can matter. And like I said, 2026, we're doing big things. We're doing big things. Like I said, we're not gonna let nobody or nothing stand in our way. Uh, we're cutting out all toxicity. I mean, toxic people, toxic friends, toxic family, just everything toxic in 2026. We're getting rid of all that. And we're going to be real. And I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Like I said, if there is a specific Hollywood, LA crime that you guys can think of, like I said, go ahead and comment. Go ahead and let me know about, like I said, certain crimes that I could have missed or that I could have done. And like I said, baby, we in this together. Again, my name is Daniel, aka D Money. And until next time, be blessed. I'm out.